Today we're going to be discussing about what happens if you don't file your taxes. Additionally, we're going to be talking about more topics that will help you on the long run, so stay with me. Firstly, if you are joining this channel for the first time, my name is Latifa Mwanza. I am the founder of Profiler LLC. We are a tax firm, so bear with me, okay? Thank you for joining us. Love, like, share, and of course, follow us. We'll appreciate that. So, like I said earlier, we're going to be discussing about what happens when you don't file your taxes. Bear with me, I have my notes. So in case if you see me looking around, I'm ensuring that I have all my points together. So firstly, what happens when you don't file your taxes, okay? So we all know that April the 15th is the last day of taxes for people that lives in the United States, right? But if you don't file on time, a lot of times nothing would happen if you don't owe taxes. And it's always better when you extend your taxes. But here's the loophole, or here's the thing that doesn't help. Okay, even when you extend. In the case if you owe taxes, all taxes are due on April the 15th. So even if you extend your tax return, it would not help you in any way, shape, or form. Okay. So now, if you are someone that has not filed your taxes in a long time, there are two things that can happen. Okay. IRS can either make you face a penalty for failure to file, or they can file a substitute return on your behalf. So filing a substitute return on your behalf, it has its own loops, and I'm going to discuss it. Okay. So, sometimes as a business owner, if you don't file your taxes, we all know that as much as you have income, you also have an expenses. And in the case if you don't file your taxes by yourself and you allow IRS to file a substitute on your behalf, then there's most likely that they will not put into consideration your expenses. They will only account for incomes. Now, the things that a lot of people do not know is that whenever people or organizations issue 1099 W-2, they go through the Department of Social Security Administration. Okay? Social Security Administration reports it to the IRS. So anytime there is an issue of 1099 W-2, IRS has a copy of it. So if you don't report it, they will report it for you. And in that manner, they will not put into consideration your expenses or your credit. For example, if you got W-2s and you don't file your taxes, but you have children, you have child credit, okay? You might have other things. Maybe you have a mortgage, maybe you have a solar energy. Maybe there are other things that you might have that would help you to get credit. But if they file it on your behalf, they would not account for all those credits at all. They will only file for the amount that you owe. In that manner, it can make you owe so much that if you had filed, you probably would not owe any taxes on your own if you filed on time. But if they file for you, then you tend to owe money. That's number one. And anytime you owe money, okay, every month you don't pay, there's 5% charges for the amount that you owe, okay, for every month that you fail to pay. And then, like I said earlier, there's failure to file as well, failure to file penalties. So all those things account for you. And in the case if you have, uh, uh, you know, taxes that you haven't filed in the past, I'll advise that you go and file it. Okay. Another topic we'll be treating is the types of expenses that you should look out for if you are a business owner or you are an independent contractors. I have a lot of clients that they're independent contractors and they get issued a 1099 NEC. And what 1099 does, for people that are not really aware, I'll break it down. The difference between W-2 and 1099 is for W-2, if you are a full-time employee, your employer pays your taxes on your behalf. I don't know if a lot of people notice, when you get a new job, they give you a tax form. It's called W-4. That is where you fill out all your information, right? And then that is what will determine how much they'll be deducting or withholding for your federal tax withholding. This is an example. If you're single and you don't have any kid, they would deduct your taxes based on your income bracket. If you have dependent, it will reduce because they will put into consideration that you have dependents, right? If you're someone that files marriage jointly, they would indicate that as well. So when you're filling your W4, those informations will be put into consideration. In that manner, that is what will determine how much tax withholding they will deduct for W2 earner. Now, for 1099, they give you all your money. If you notice, for people that drives Uber, Amazon Flex, they give you all your money and then they issue you a 1099. And this is to hope that you pay your own taxes by yourself. And because they have issued you a 1099, it allows you to then treat it as a business. So you would put into consideration your expenses. And these are the expenses that can help that I'm about to mention. I'll mention about 4 or 5. The first one is, like I said, I'm looking up, I have my notes, okay? Home office expenses. Now, as a business owner, I work in my house. I don't have a brick and mortar. And the reason is because most of my clients are far away from me and I have clients out of state. So I don't see the reason for me to get an office. It will just be additional expenses, right? So for people that has an office, that is good. You can then, of course, put the rent into consideration. But for people that works at home, you can claim a home office deduction because you have a home that you pay mortgage for or you pay rent for, and you have a space in your house that you use for your office. Usually, the standard square foot that is considered is 300 square foot if you want to go through the standard way, right? So you can claim that as a credit as well. Okay. The second one is if you have a business expenses. This is what I mean by that. Business expenses, like if you have supplies. Now, people like me, I have softwares that I use. I have a tax software. Okay. I have software for my documentation because the IRS does not allow you to mismanage people's information. So I have a portal that I use to where my clients upload their documents into document management, right? I have Zoom that I use for my meetings, many more like that. So a lot of people have the same thing. Whatever software that you have, subscriptions and all that, those are tax deductible. And if you're not a tax professional like me, if you have, maybe you sell something, but you have a space in your house where you keep them, okay? There are so many times where you want to buy something that would help you to put those things into, right? If you have postage, like you sell something and then you have to print, ship and things like that, right? Those are business expenses. Additionally, there's vehicle and cost. Majority of business owners have a car. Some have the same car for their personal and business purposes, but some buy a particular car just for their business purposes. But I've seen that it's much more in occurrence. Please bear with my English. Sometimes the English, I forget it and I'm trying to find a substitute, right? So it's much more rampant. Thank you. That people mostly have the same car that they have for their business use and they use it for their personal use as well. In that manner, you can still use it. But the question would then be, what is the percentage? Now, for someone that all they do is use that car for Uber, me, I don't have another business, so my car is mostly for my business. But there are some times where I can decide to run errands with my car. So most likely I use my business for like 92% of the time, right? Where I have meetings, I have to go and drop off a mail for a client and things like that. So like I stated earlier, the question would then be what are the percentage, right? So for some people, the percentage that they use that they use their personal car towards business is like 55%, right? We can then determine that. So now there's something called depreciation asset. Depreciation asset is something that is an asset but depreciates. For example, a car. When you buy a car, the moment you leave the car park or wherever you bought the car from, the moment you leave, the value of the car drops. Unless, of course, they tell you to drive it for 7 days and you can return it. But in the case if you don't have that option, the moment you drive it off, if you want to take it back to the people, to the place where you bought it, after 2 months, you see the car that you bought for 20,000, they're trying to buy it for 1,200. Okay, that's a story for another day. Okay, but why are they doing like that? Like, you buy a car for like 40,000, and then you say, oh well, I changed my mind, and they'll say, well, we can only buy it for $3,000. Huh. Anyway, it means fear. Please fear God. For people that do not speak Yoruba, I'm originally from Nigeria, so bear with me. So now, those depreciation assets can be used towards your business, right? But the thing with depreciation asset is, once you depreciate the asset for tax purposes, you can only, you can use it for like 5 years or 3 years, but you can't claim that car again, right? So most of the time, it's better to use gas or mileage. Mileage is a lot easier because per mile you get 65 cents. Remember, it's about maximizing your taxes, right? Or maximizing your tax refund. Anyway, apart from that, there's health insurance and retirement contribution. So if you have your own business or you're 1099 earner, if you have your own personal 10, if you have your, I'm so sorry, my dog is here. Mama, excuse me, please, please, excuse me. Thank you. So as I was stating earlier, health insurance and retirement contribution helps. So if you have your own personal health insurance, because of course you're 1099 earner, uh, or your business owner, okay? In that manner, you can get your own personal health insurance, you can get retirement contributions. Those helps to reduce your taxable income. So they're tax deductible too, okay? Now, when we put those things into consideration, the last topic that I want to point our attention to is the essence of bookkeeping. A lot of times, the reason why people miss their tax deadline, sometimes they're all over the place. They can't remember receipts, what they bought, they're trying to put it together, they're all over the place, and then before you know it, time has passed. Okay? And sometimes, of course, it causes people to be overwhelmed. That is why bookkeeping is very, very essential. Now, bookkeeping is not just for tax savings, okay? And I'm going to tell you few points as to why bookkeeping is better. Number one, when you do bookkeeping, of course, bookkeeping where the income that you have, maybe it's on your 1099 or you're a business owner, when you do bookkeeping, it helps to know how much you got in your business, right? It also helps with all those expenses that you have because it captures everything, all right? So now, like I was stating earlier, it helps you when tax return comes. You don't have to be running helter skelter. You have all your numbers together. So when it's time season, you just take it to your tax preparer and say, "Oh, these are my numbers." It makes your life wonderful, right? That's number one. Number two, as a business owner, it helps you to know whether your business is making it or not. As a Nigerian, I have a lot of people that they'll say, "Oh, I sell, Italian clothes, or I sell this and that." And when you're selling stuff, now you have inventory. You're buying that thing from somewhere. You have to pay for shipping. And when that thing comes, when your client wants to buy it, you still have to ship it to them. Or at least you have maybe Shopify and those platforms that helps you to ship it. Have you calculated all the amounts that you bought it, the shipping cost? Are you still making money? Do you even know? Okay. Bookkeeping helps you with that to know whether you are making money. And when you know where your money is going on how your business is doing, it helps you to scale, right? It helps you to make better decisions. As, okay, this business is good. And in the case if you are not making any income, you are just doing all the stress here and there, but it's not making any money for you, you would know. And in that manner, you can then make plans as to what to do moving forward. Do you have to strategize a different way? Do you have to start another business? I mean, it helps you to know, right? That's another one. That's another point. The other one is, I always say it for people that follows me on Instagram, that Schedule C. is the recipe for audit, IRS audit. Okay. And a lot of times for the first few years of your business, some people might not make money and they're only trying to put money into it, spending money to make that business work. And in that manner, it is most likely that you have more expenses than income that is coming. If you ever get audited, how would you prove it? What would you do? Because for audit or pre-audit, they are simply asking you that maybe you're claiming erroneous refund that you don't qualify for, or they will simply sometimes ask you to provide all the documents that made you think you qualify for the amounts that you're claiming. So if you ever got audited, you can just put your documents together and say, here it is. There are expenses for my business. I'm still trying to thrive, and things like that. It helps too. So if you're ever audited, it helps a lot. Okay. Now, if you have your expenses together and you're trying to file your taxes, it helps you to have access to bigger savings. Bigger savings. This is an example. I had a client. So she's an independent contractor. I'm trying to not use people's identifier, you know. So they, because now we can use him, she, they. So let's choose they. So they came to me and they're independent contractor, but they didn't have their books. So I do bookkeeping. So I said, okay, let's look at your books. And we all know that if you have QuickBooks, you can just, connect your account and it will transfer all your transactions. Okay. Now, this person, they had their own books, the things that they can remember. Okay. Now, an example is this. When they remember their stuff, what they remembered was like 50 something thousand. Okay. But the books is saying something different from their business account. It's mentioning over 100,000. So can you imagine if this person didn't do their books, they would have missed out on a lot of savings. They'll probably be owing when they should not. Rather, they should be getting refund back. So those things helps you as a business owner. If you don't already do bookkeeping, find one today. Find one today. We do bookkeeping. You can always reach out to us. Our website is Profiler Services. Okay, I'm going to put it in the screen before I post it. It's profilerservices.com. We do bookkeeping. And in the case if you have back taxes that you haven't filed, we can help you to do that. But if IRS has already determined that you owe them so much money, we do resolution. We can help you with that. But the point of this video is to ensure that you file your taxes on time. Find someone that is a professional. Before I became a tax professional, I had my own issues as well. And this is what I mean by that. I did an interview on someone's podcast, and she asked me why I decided to be a tax preparer. That's a story for another day. But the short story is that this person put me on a long term. I don't know, they don't pick up their phone. Is it just me? I was calling, I got a letter from the IRS and I was calling and calling and calling, and the person didn't pick up his phone. So I was forced to call the IRS by myself. Okay. So unfortunately, there are so many professionals, and some are even go tax preparer. Another story for another day, but reach out to a professional to help you with with your situation, and hopefully you find somebody, or you already found somebody that has helped, okay, or that is trying to help you. If you don't already, reach out to us. Okay. All right. In case if you're just joining me, thank you so much for watching this video till the end. Please follow us and click the bell button so that whenever I post a video, you can be informed. Thank you and have a wonderful rest of your day, week, wherever you are. Bye.